for anyone watching who might be thinking, I also want to do something like what Casey did, but how do I know it's right to take that step? And your motivator is, I want to do something different. I'm pretty sure other people want to do something different as well. What else does it involve for someone to clarify with themselves if it's time to make that big change?
It was just something that I had to do. And, you know, to become an entrepreneur, I was looked as one of the best decisions of my life. And it could have easily have not taken the decision, like easily. And there are a lot of people around me saying, don't do it. Horrible idea. But I think it kept me fresh. So inside, I'm young and I have energy and stuff like that. And I think I would have slowly been an angry and depressed person had I stayed on that path and had I listened to other people. So I think it's just listening to your own heart and getting this ability to understand your feelings and take action on the feelings. A lot of us have that feeling, but we don't take action. And it's very easy to rationalize reasons not to listen to the feeling. So for better or worse, I listened to it and I became an entrepreneur. And again, I think it's the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, listening to your feelings.
And actioning it, right?
And then taking action, right? So...
And we regret what we don't do. I mean, you've heard it, right? Like,
oh, absolutely.
So had I not become an entrepreneur, and okay, I might have probably had much more money and maybe, you know, type of situation if I'd taken a different route, but I would have regretted. I knew I would regret it, right? And that's how I always try to frame decisions. Like, what am I going to regret?
Yeah, regretting what you didn't do.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
You don't regret what you do. You might feel like an idiot. And there's many times in my entrepreneurial journey, I'm embarrassed. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Still, I feel like an idiot, right? And I've been doing this for a while now.
But at least you don't regret it.
No, I have no regrets.
Oh, wow.
And kind of one other part, like I've only realized this recently, is I think for most people, there's two big stages, or really successful people, there's two stages of your career and your working life. There's an exploration phase. And you go out and you try many things and you do many projects. And I did a lot of that. And actually, I feel I did too much, but I was exploring. And now just recently, so maybe in the last year or so, I'm entering the exploitation phase of my career. And exploitation is where, okay, there's something you're very passionate about, you're probably quite good at, and there's very big upside opportunity then. And I feel that massively with Attuned. And this is focus. So I'm in the stage of my career where it's saying no. I don't do things. No, no, no. And before in like the 30s and maybe late 20s, it's yes, I need to explore and figure out what is the big problem I want to solve. What do I want to do with my life? What gets me going? Now with Attuned, this is massive. And I feel like if I just focus on this, like if we put it in financial terms, the upside is billions of dollars. Like if it goes well and I can do a great job.
Just because we've mentioned Attuned a few times, I want to mention so the audience knows. And forgive me for butchering this, but Attuned AI meets recruitment, helping companies find the people that actually fit and will be helpful and happy where they work, and also will be of value to the company without what you've mentioned earlier, the waste of emotional, financial, wasted recruitment process, right?
Parts of it fairly butchered, so I totally forgive you. Now, Attuned, what we're looking at is we're using deep psychology and delivering it through software. So the beauty of software and SaaS, so software as a business, is you can do things at scale. Like with recruitment, everything's one-to-one. I can only speak to one person generally at a time, one customer at a time, one candidate at a time. So I can change lives and I can change a company, but I can't change at scale. With software, you can make change at scale. So what we're doing is we're taking deep psychology, and kind of distributing. We're focused on large enterprises. And the psychology that we're delivering is intrinsic motivation. So what we couldn't see before is there was no way of knowing somebody's intrinsic motivation with objective data. And this is something I experienced as a recruiter over and over. Like I'd done thousands of interviews, but I could never understand somebody's motivation. And that motivational fit between somebody joining a company and their manager, if their manager does that, they'll stay and be quite successful if a manager can understand that. But if there's a gap in that motivational fit, then they leave, right? And they're get upset, they might get depressed. There's a lot of emotions involved. It costs money, it costs times. So that's part of it as well. And then also in my own hiring through recruiting, the difference between being a so-so recruiter, we can create systems to take somebody who's average to make them a pretty good recruiter. But somebody just being pretty good or excellent was intrinsic motivation. Like, why are you making more calls? Or why are you going to meet a few more people? Or why are you going to do this a little bit extra? And there's no way that I could know before Attune what somebody's motivations were.
Yeah.
Like, I could ask in an interview process, and either they're going to game it, or they're going to tell me what they want to hear, or their self-awareness is quite low, or they're going to tell me a word that just triggers me and like pisses me off, and I'm not going to hire them, but they could have been really good. And it was trying to solve this problem that led to the creation of Attune. So now we can show everybody's intrinsic motivation for work. It can be used in hiring. Also onboarding, where it might take weeks or months to understand what motivates people, usually through trial and error. Like, I can push your buttons and, oh, this works. If, I'm speaking to friends, oh, this doesn't work. But now we can do it within an hour, within a day.
Wow.
But now it's used by a lot of big Japanese companies to change their culture. So a lot of large Japanese companies want to become more agile. They want to become more resilient. They want to become more psychologically safe, and they don't know how to change their culture. But if they can understand each individual and connect to them and help them feel motivated, then they can build psychological safety within a team. So there's trust towards the team, and people can share their ideas. So there's going to be more innovation.
Yeah.
And that's what they're trying to do when they buy Attuned. And then there's also kind of a big use case that's quite interesting now, like it's coming up, is intergenerational management. There's a lot of big companies with 50 to 60-year-old Japanese managers. They're mostly men. And the organization is trying to bring more women into management, but older men don't know how to manage or speak in a deep, like, honne way to the women. So they put in Attuned to help do that.
Wow. So at scale.
At scale.
Intrinsic motivations.
You can see everybody's intrinsic motivation to have deeper, real, honest communication, build stronger relationships, build trust.
Are there any recurring top 10 or even top 3 motivators that you keep seeing in like high performance?
No, and that's the beauty of it.
Whoa.
Everybody's intrinsic motivations are unique because it's accumulation of your life experience up until this moment in time.
Yeah.
So what it is really your values and your value hierarchy. What is most important to you? What's least important to you? Because we've all lived life differently. We've all had different parents. We've had different upbringing in different schools and different brothers and different sisters. We entered different companies. So we learn our values from the society around us and the environment around us. And that's different. And when we have a big life emotional experience, it just puts a lot of chemical into our brains and changes our values. And our values kind of slowly shift over time. So it's a 1 in a million chance that you'll have basically the same motivator profile as somebody else. And there's like a 1 in a quadrillion chance that it's exact same motivator. So this is also, from a managerial perspective, is why management is so hard. People can manage people quite like themselves. Like, what got me excited, I'm going to manage you in the same style, but you might be motivated by totally different things.
Right.
So I'm going to spend all this energy trying to get you excited, and you're like, yeah, this is real nice, but no. And I'm just going to go back out and do it. So,
if you were to give advice to a single person who obviously cannot tap into Attuned, on finding their own motivations or questions to ask themselves on how to even find their own values and motivations, would you have any questions that you would recommend for their own search?
I mean, you can come and you can like make a contact form, and like we can do it for any of your viewers, especially for it. But I think the self-awareness to understand what motivates you, and it's hard to ask the right questions, and we all have blind spots. And even when we're working with organizations or individuals, like people in their 40s, 50s, 60s who should or think they have a lot of self-awareness, they don't. And they see their motivation report like, I knew these, but I didn't understand this one, but it makes a lot of sense. Like, that's why I got frustrated with my own boss, because this was my old boss, because that wasn't really kind of hit upon. So it's hard to do that without kind of something really structured and created within science. But yeah, we have resources on the website, about using Attune as an individual. There's questions that you can ask in your own job interview. So going back, it's people want to join companies. Oh, this company is awesome. They got fantastic products and everything. But your life is going to be made up of the personal relationships
Yeah.
at that company. It doesn't matter what the brand is and everything else like that. You know, your actual happiness is going to come from that, and mostly your boss. So people leave their companies 60% of the time because of, you know, interpersonal relationship. And 40% of the time people leave is because they don't like their boss and they don't get along with their boss. So if you can use these questions, say, okay, this is what motivates me, and ask your future boss or ask the future environment, hey, am I going to be able to do these things? And if the answer is yes, you're probably going to be happy there. If the answer is no, then no, you shouldn't choose that place.